I'm going to say good morning, right? What time of day is it there by you? Morning?
Yeah, it's morning. It's 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning.
Not too bad. And it is not snowing there like it is here in New York, right?
Oh, it's snowing.
Yeah. It's snowing. And hopefully for your US tour, it's not snowing, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can you play reggae in the snow?
I reckon you could get away with it. I think I think it would put yeah, you'd have to have a few fireplaces going or some kind of like, you know, yeah. But I reckon it would create a vibe for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't it
Maybe that's
doesn't
a challenge,
make sense,
but it's
unfortunately, for certain
I've,
musical
um,
genres for certain times of the year.
yeah, for sure. I got maybe I need to try and write a song that's a reggae feel in winter. That's a challenge accepted. Yeah.
Well, in your case, kudos to you because 7 albums in 8 years. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, pretty close, man. This is our sixth album, and it's been uh, 2 years in the making. This one, but we've been releasing music since 2017, and basically been releasing an album a year right up until um, early last year, and then we decided to spend a bit more time on this album and kind of give ourselves a bit of a break in regards to the studio work. And we've been obviously doing a bit more touring post COVID that now that we can get out of the country and stuff. So that was the focus over the last kind of year or two.
I was giving you that extra seventh album because there was a compilation, a best of
Ah,
thing.
there.
And when you're a band, I mean, you still need to approve the artwork. You need to get the UPC or the barcode. You still have to promote it, do all the paperwork, etc. So even though a Greatest Hits album sounds like it's all the work was done, it's still an album you got to promote.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, this next one that comes out in a couple of weeks, actually, at the end of next week, we're super pumped on, and yeah, we're looking forward to coming to the States. And I just want to point out your Iron Maiden T-shirt. Are you a Maiden fan?
Someone's got to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I got the Trooper tattooed on the back of my leg, so I'm with you, brother.
Well, actually, I was curious about that with your musical evolution. So I was into ska before I was into reggae, but
Gotcha.
I was into metal before I was into ska. So what was your musical evolution in terms of genres?
Yeah, we definitely grew up. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of different stuff, but in regards to like ska and that, we listened to a lot of Sublime and stuff like that. And the boys in the band, we're all deep down, we all love a bit of rock, and especially the boys, the Cora brothers, right into their metal. That's definitely where the metal influence comes from. And I'm a guitarist, first and foremost, as well
Mhm.
as a singer. Yeah, Adrian Smith's got to be one of my favorite guitarists at Iron
Nice.
Maiden. Such a tasty feel, and he comes from the blues sound like most great rock players do, and you can really hear that in his playing, and that's kind of why the Maiden thing is definitely an influence on the band. And we've actually recorded a few over the six albums. We've recorded probably three or four rock songs in those albums. We've experimented with heavy guitar tones.
Yeah. Now, if I can ask a nerdy question here, your guitar playing has a lot of upstrokes, but starting off as being a punk and metal person before, you listen to the Ramones and they only do downstrokes. So for you, was it a big transition to becoming an upstroke guy with the guitar?
An upstroke guy, yeah. I mean, I suppose when we're playing reggae, it's all downstrokes for me. But when you're playing ska, yeah, it's usually the opposite. It's up, chick, 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 chick. But
Exactly.
yeah, the reggae thing for me was definitely a little later in life. I was probably um, 15 years old, 14, 15 years old when I started playing more reggae music. Um, Listening to bands that are from New Zealand, bands like Catch a Fire, Cora, um, Fat Freddy's Drop. These are bands that you may or may not have heard of, but they are all doing still exist today and are doing really well in regards to the international scene with reggae dub music, slightly electronic, and all that sound has come from
Mhm.
from countries. So well, influenced and then kind of created in this country, and it's great to see bands like Catch a Fire doing well in places like Hawaii and the west coast of the States. And
Yeah.
um, that's kind of our goal is to follow in the footsteps of bands like that have paved the way overseas in regards to Kiwi artists, you know.
Right. If I can ask an ignorant American question here, I have reformed myself as an ignorant American. And when you grow up in the States, you tend to think that whatever music is big in the US is big everywhere else. And then as you get older, you realize they don't really know Tom Petty in most of the world. Billy
Yeah,
Joel
right.
is not the biggest classic rock artist, etc. And
Yeah.
our perspective for what the biggest reggae artist doesn't represent the reggae that's actually in Jamaica or Caribbean or
Yes.
when they do Asian reggae festivals and all that. So, what was the first country outside of New Zealand that really embraced your band?
The first country I would probably say just naturally Australia because of the amount of Kiwis that live in Australia. But outside of Aussie, which is we call it the expat kind of market, you know, all the Kiwis that live in Aussie, they love the Kiwi bands that come over and play. But outside
Mhm.
of that, I'll probably say um, the Netherlands of all places. Yeah,
Wow.
Amsterdam. We played there for the first time last year, and it was an incredible show. We played at a place called the Paradiso,
Yeah.
and that's historic in regards to the people that have played there, and you could feel it in the walls, man. It was just one of those magic places that you could tell there'd been a lot of good music played in that room, and yeah, we were blessed to be able to play there and pack the place out, and predominantly the audience was from Europe, you know, all over. People had come from Germany and Switzerland and all sorts of places to come and see us play. So it was super special.
So is it a case where the festivals for the band are all over the place? You never know where the calls are going to come from. I ask that because sometimes bands just tour the US, Canada, England, and that's it. They don't expect calls from anywhere else. But reggae is more of a universal sound.
Sure, yeah, we've definitely been hit up to play all sorts of places, places like the Philippines, Bali, um, in the States. We're playing Cali Roots Festival again in May, which we played for the first time last year. But yeah, you're right. You can definitely get into different corners of the world through reggae music or through roots music, I suppose, is what I would call L.A.B. It's not purely reggae, but definitely in the roots music kind of scene.
Cool. Well, a question about a song from your latest album. Take It Away has a very fun music video, and everyone is getting along and dancing and socializing, but a lot of the people in the music video are not in the band. Am I ignorant in that I don't recognize celebrities from your home country, or is it mostly friends that we see in the band in the music video?
Yeah, it's more of a cast, I suppose, of people that have we put the word out that we're doing a shoot, and then people sign up and come along and get to meet the band and be a part of a music video. So that was the idea behind that one.
So those weren't all talk show hosts that I didn't know.
No, 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 no. You're safe, bro. You're safe.
Whew, okay, that's a relief right there. So the streak of putting out an album almost every year, are you going to start slowing down, or is that part of the MO for the band and just keep expecting albums all the time?
I think we'll. I think we're definitely changing it up now. We've done 5 and 5 years, and the sixth one, like I said, has taken a couple of years. And the plan moving forward is to kind of stay on that mold in regards to releasing music probably every couple of years, with the exception of a few singles here and there. And but the focus now is really getting the band overseas and working on that international kind of market and
Mm-hmm.
seeing what works and trying to build that brand overseas. And it's definitely working. We're second year, I suppose, into these new goals of where we are and where we want to be. So we're just pushing for that. And yeah, we're definitely going to be back in the studio before the end of this year, working on the next project. Yeah, it's one of those things. If we're not on the road, we're in the studio. If we're not in the studio, we're on the road. So it's just a balancing act.
no time for side hustles or side hobbies or stuff that's not related to L.A.B. But if I can take it back to Maiden, the last few questions before I let you go, who's the second most influential metal band on you?
Ooh, on me personally?
Sure.
Um, Man. Uh, I mean, I'd probably have to say Zach Wild is my, his band, Black Label Society, but I've never really listened to Black Label Society. I've always listened to him through him playing with Ozzy. Um, I'm a massive Aussie fan. I did a version of Mama I'm Coming Home on the local New Zealand rock station. It's called The Rock. It's one of the most famous stations in the country. It's been around since the 80s and done really well. And they asked me to come in and play a cover. So I chose Mama I'm Coming Home. And a big part of that is a great song, but it's also that playing from Zach Wild is beautiful on that song. And he's just a weapon of a guitarist.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you ever hear his work in Pride and Glory?
No. I have to
They
check
had
it out.
they had one major label album. It's more of a roots thing where he's trying to do a southern rock thing. You're either going to love it or hate it. But the good thing about Zach is now his focus is the Zach Sabbath thing. So he's out playing the Black Sabbath as Zach Sabbath.
Ah, okay. Right. I didn't know that. That's cool. I have to check it out.
Well, tied into that, one thing that I like to find out about international guitar players is whether or not Van Halen was a big influence on that. And the reason I ask is because in the States, Van Halen is a top 10 all time band. And then you look at their tour history, and I don't think they ever played live in New Zealand. And maybe Jump was a number one hit, but I don't get the vibe that Van Halen was this big band that inspired in New Zealand.
Oh no, it definitely was, man. Eddie Van Halen is, he's a massive influence on guitarists. A lot of my mates that are guitarists are just huge fans of Eddie. And um I guess with I didn't actually know that I hadn't played here before, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, they did so well in the States, they probably didn't have to leave the States, did they? So um in regards to Eddie Van Halen been an influence for sure. Like I grew up listening to probably the more Sammy Hagar version of Van Halen. One of my favorite. Actually, I had to do greatest songs of all time for a radio show the other day, and I chose Right Now as one of
Oh,
them because I think that song is like it's got the perfect it's that typical Sammy Hagar, like he's like, yeah, I'm the top of the world. I'm riding my horse. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Kind of, he's not the rock star like David Lee Roth was, but the song itself is just the groove just gets me every time that groove drops. It's just magic. They got that soul groove funk R&B thing going on underneath this huge rock massive anthem sound, which I think is a cool thing. Yeah.
and that's a song where you both can't play his piano part and his guitar part because
Oh
both
man,
are too hard.
I reckon that there's that I could never for ages I could never find where the beat one was when the piano came
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I was like, where the hell is beat one? I can't find it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, there it is. And then they're coming out of the guitar solo or the bridge. It's like, where is the band going? It's just you got to study that stuff. That's some mathematical magic in there that it's on the radio. If someone tried to write a song like that today, they'd be like, no, that's not going to work.
He's doing that while smiling and smoking a cigarette, and
Yeah,
effortless for that guy. So,
sure. Yeah.
back to the last two questions before I let you go. The first one is, what's the number one passion outside of music for you?
Man, I would have to say it's probably at the moment it's something that I want to focus on a lot and make a habit is just my fitness and my health and doing things that make me feel good in regards to that, anything that aligns with that. So I've got a crew of boys that we go up the local mountain that we walk up. Just realized that you're American and you don't know where the mount is. So,
Oh no, I get it. I look at maps every now and then.
yeah. So it's just around the corner, and we get up every 2 or 3 times a week at 6 a.m. and do that together. And so there's a good community of people around here that we keep each other accountable for our goals and what we're doing in our careers. And most of them aren't musicians that I'm hanging out with. They're just good buddies from home. And
Nice.
so my community and my health is my passion outside of this. I think it makes my job so much more enjoyable when I'm on top of things. You know what I mean? And especially the amount of touring we do, and it's important to have that sense of community and stuff at home. Yeah.
And then the last one, coming to the States on tour, are there any particular cities where you go, I can't wait to try that food item in that place? Or do you just have your rider, your list of backstage foods, and that's what you eat and that's that?
No, you're asking the right person about food, and it's me and Miharu, who's the piano player in L.A.B. We are the two guys that were like, we've all got the chat, and the boys are like, oh, we're just gonna go to the hotel lobby and see what burger we get and chips or whatever, And me and Miharu are like, nah, bro, let's go search out the best like Thai restaurant in this town or the best Mexican. We're always on the hunt for the food. So yeah. I think San Diego was the last place that I can remember off the top of my head. Actually, went to a really good Mexican joint in LA. My wife came over last year when we were on tour, and we hung out for a couple of weeks in the States post tour kind of thing. And yeah, I mean the food's just on next, especially California with all the Mexican food. It was just like damn. But yeah, I went to New York when I was 14, and I'm looking forward to coming back one day. Hopefully with the band, if not, I'll definitely come back.
If you're coming to New York, we'll get you all the food recommendations. But in the meantime, congrats on the new record, congrats on the upcoming tour, and looking forward to whatever is coming from you and band, Joel. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks so much, bro. Awesome.
Paltrocast.